standing his first season for Empire Stallions in the 2021-22 season, is Tall Dark Stranger. David, what attracted Empire Stallions to Tall Dark Stranger?
It goes back a little ways. That the first time that I was attracted to the horse was at the yearling sales when he brought $350,000 on a bid from Nancy Tactor. And then when you looked at the pedigree page and you saw his dam, a world champion 2-year-old filly with a record of 50.2 and made 800,000 plus, this is an automatic stallion prospect for the future. And Nancy Tactor at that particular time that purchased this colt was the trainer of the year. So you put that aside, you say, boy, this is something to watch for. We'll watch him train all winter. We'll see how he comes along in the spring. So the lights were on watching that colt and probably a half a dozen others as well. But he would rank number one prospect on a yearling basis at that particular time. And as we go along a little bit further, when he first raced at the Meadowlands, watched that first race, very impressive, and the next race and the next race. And the further he went, the more that you fell in love with the horse. And when he was, of course, 2-year-old of the year, you knew that if he could come back at 3 and be the same type of horse, that he would be a stallion prospect that's going to go to the very best farm in the country. And of course, he ended up with Hanover Shoe Farms. So it was a gradual following of his career and watching him mature and watching him go through his paces and so on. And of course, at the end, he was 2-year-old of the year, 3-year-old of the year, horse of the year, pacer of the year, and then just all age, all everything. And of course, then you knew that that's a horse that if you could possibly arrange to have him, that's the horse you want. Those are the horses of the future, and they're the ones that rarely fail at stud if they stand at the right place and get the right mares and all of those things. But that's the direction that we, Donna and I, and the farm, we look for the very, very best that we can get. And we're fortunate. We were very, very fortunate. There were a lot of people that wanted this horse. And thankfully, it came our way, and we were able to do it. So we're pleased to death.
How do you best describe his appearance? How does he look?
Well, I did see him on tape as a yearling. Did watch his video. I was not able to attend for different reasons that particular year. He is a 15-3 hands. He's a dark bay. He's not black, but he's very dark. I presume he's going to sire a lot of dark colts and fillies, which boy, the market breeders love to see that. He's an athletic-looking colt. He's leggy. He's athletic. He's got a kind head and eye. He just looks the part. When you walk by him, you say, "Whoa, let's have a look at this colt, or this horse, or whatever," because he's got an appeal. He appeals to everybody's sense of what's right, so to speak. When he walks on video as a yearling and later on, you could see that his conformation was absolutely spot on. He walks perfectly. And that's the kind of colt that you want. And those videos as yearlings, are quite revealing. No question about that. They're probably even a little more revealing than the on-site inspection. You can really look for things, and he matched everything. He was the number one pick at the Lexington sale as a yearling and bringing the 350,000. He just had everything going for him, and he was a kind looking horse. You just knew you could do something with him.
On what mares on type and breeding
Yes.
do you think would be best suited to Tall Dark Stranger?
Well, I made a little bit of a list here because we get calls every day as what do you think about this particular cross? We do a lot of pedigree matching here for clients. It's no cost. It's just a service that we provide. And people will ring up and say, I have mare so-and-so and buy such and such. We'll look it up. And a lot of mares suit Tall Dark Stranger, a lot more than you would think. I like for example, American Ideal. I'll tell you another, Western Terror mares, a horse that we stood here. He's one of my favorite broodmare sires, and he's just a young horse. The Rock and Roll Hanover, Rock and Roll Heaven horses, Christian Cullens, the Mac 3 Some Beach Captain Treacherouses. They're young in this country. There's only 3 or 4 crops of them, but boy, that'd be a perfect cross for that particular match. McCardles, Courage Under Fires, anything with Arts Place Abercrombie back about 3 generations would be just terrific. He's got a lot of options here, and the fact that he's a Bettor's Delight will fit in. Bettor's Delight's been the greatest stallion ever in the Southern Hemisphere. There's no question about that. Here's his greatest son, and there are lots and lots of mares that made Bettor's Delight. They'll help make this horse as well. So there's just a short list of about 8 or 9 or 10 of them, but there are lots and lots of others that I don't have here. He's a horse that crosses well with a wide variety of mares.
How would you best describe Tall Dark Stranger's racing pattern and how he went about the job?
Interesting. When you take a look at his 2 years and his race lines, and they're charted lines in the United States. All races are charted lines with a starting position, first quarter, half, 3 quarters, head of the stretch, finish, etc., etc. And they're all printed on a page. You get them when you go to the races. You get the last 8 starts. When you study his race lines, there's a pattern. He loves to float out of the gate, so to speak, in the first quarter. Didn't matter if he had the 8-hole, 10-hole, or the rail. He'd like to float out of there and get in the outer flow and not rush to the front, hell-bent for leather, so to speak. He would take his time, get in a good position, 1 out, 1 back, 1 out, 2 back, and wait till the quarter, and just past the quarter, he would then march to the front. And nearly every race, I think that probably 15 races, he marched from the first quarter-mile pole to the half on the outside and gone. And he'd pace that second and third quarter traditionally in 26 or 27 seconds. He made the half, was never parked in any of his races. He made the half quite easily, and then it's up to him to come the last half in as fast a time as he can to win his races, and that's where he absolutely excelled. He could pace the first quarter in 26 and the last quarter in 26, but you had to get up to the front, and that's the place that the best horse in the race should always be, is in the front. So his racing pattern was race from behind in the first early part, first quarter to a half, right to the front, and didn't matter what it took to get to the front, he was going to be in front. And coming the last quarter was a very strong point with him. And I did see there were a couple of races there where he did sit back a little bit later. The 3/8 he was still maybe second or third, but the majority of the races he was out and gone on the outside. And he was tough. This is a really tough horse. Exceptional gait, great gaited horse. Never wore a boot. You could just drive him with 2 fingers. That he was a kind horse, and he was the kind of horse that was looking for who's coming. Where are they? He was a smart horse. He was a tough horse, and his driver often said, he wasn't just a fast horse. He was a great horse. You could do anything you wanted with him, and his racing style, I think, really said it all. Is that he didn't rush to the front, expend everything in 25 and 4 or 26 seconds. He waited, sized everything up, and then went. And there was nobody that could go with him. Nobody could go with him from the 4 quarter-mile pole to the end. So that's his racing style for me.
Best win? What would you say is his best win?
There were a couple of. There was a really good win at 2, for example, called the Metro in Toronto. Very good as a 2-year-old, and then it's that's where he took his record of 49-1. But his best race overall, the Meadowlands Pace. Absolutely a race for the ages. He was in with a horse by the name of Pappy Rob Hanover, another outstanding Some Beach horse. There was a great matchup all the time. They left the first quarter at the Meadowlands in 25 and 4. He left from the 5-hole. He was 1 out, 1 back. He sat and he waited. He then came to the front. Made it before the half. He was on top. They paced in 27 in 1. They paced the next quarter in 27 in 2. And coming halfway down the stretch, Pappy Rob Hanover pulled up beside him and put a neck in front, only with maybe 100 meters to go. And if you watch the race, you'll see Pappy Rob did the race very well, but Tall Dark Stranger came on and won it by a neck. Last quarter in 26 flat. Those are the kind of races you dream about. And he's a champion. He's an absolute champion. And that's the best race that everybody's still talking about, that race. I think that's by far his best race of his career.
For the 2021-22 season, Tall Dark Stranger will be standing for the fee of?
Fee of $17,500, including GST. If you wanted to pay on a live foal basis, it's slightly more, but the pay by April 1 fee is $17,500.